Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for joining. So we are going to discuss about God lila, falling unconscious in gratitude, few pastimes of Nimai Lord Chaitanya in Mahaprakash lila. So I'll start with prayers. Om Gyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you everyone for joining. So we'll get started. I chose this topic of Mahaprakash Leela because I have heard few lectures of His Holiness Raghunath Swami Maharaj. So I just wanted to share what I heard and what realization or what thoughts that I got while listening to the lectures. So starting with it. So we all know that Lord Chaitanya, he descended in Navadip, Mayapur. And so like Lord Krishna, he was born, at Devaki and Vasudeva, but he performed his most intimate pastimes at Gokul, Vrindavan. Similarly, Lord Chaitanya, he was born at the house of Sachimata and Jagannath Mishra, and he performed his most intimate pastimes at the house of Srivas Thakur or Srivas Angan. And speaking of Navadvip, so Navadvip is non-different from Vrindavan. They are identical. However, in Navadvip, by the mercy of Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya, they opened the doors to Vrindavan. And those doors, which are meant for highly ecstatic, transcendental, exalted devotees, those doors were opened to the most unqualified people from all over the world to enter Vrindavan through Navadvipa. And Lord Chaitanya is famously known as, the most munificent incarnation. We hear that Namo Mahavadnaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratushe Namaha. So who is Lord Chaitanya? Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself, who has come to taste the sweetness of the love of his compassionate energy, who is Srimati Radharani, the reservoir and source of all love. And Lord Chaitanya bestowed his mercy all over the world through Nam Sankirtan process. Mercy of the devotees. So the Lord sent his eternal associates before him to set the stage. Srivas, he had three brothers, Shri Ram, Shripate, and Srinidhi. So in his house, he was very exalted devotee of Lord Krishna. So in his house, Nam Sankirtan was consistently performed. Although the atheistic people of Navadip were not interested. And since the Harinam was constantly performed, he was also constantly being criticized. By whom? By those atheistic people, who were immersed in getting academic scholarship, who were immersed in Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, Ashtanga Kanda, getting mystical powers, and all those. Nobody wanted to take the name of Krishna. And we know in the age of Kali, there is no other way to attain the love of God but Nam Sankirtanam. And we read in Srimad Bhagavatam that Kaler Dosha Nidhe Rajan Asti hi eko mahan guna Kirtanadeva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Param Vrajet. There is only one benediction in this age of Kali Yuga. Simply by chanting Krishna's holy names, one can attain perfection, which is love of God. And there are other processes as well. And maybe we can achieve pious activities, good health, good wealth, influence, fame. But the real goal of life is to attain the love of God. And that can be achieved simply by chanting Krishna's holy names. So now we will discuss the simultaneous pain and ecstasy of devotees. Let's see what is this. So Haridas Thakur cried and called for Krishna. Srivas Thakur and devotees in Srivas Angan, they prayed and called for Krishna. Why? To deliver the unfortunate souls. They were in ecstasy in their devotion, but seeing anyone suffering and forgetting Krishna brought pain to their hearts. That is the quality of great Vaishnava. So that pain of compassion for others is a type of ecstasy on a spiritual platform. So the question is here that how can suffering simultaneously be ecstasy? So the pain of compassion for other living beings is a type of ecstasy on a spiritual platform. Actually, the happiness of soul is pleasing Krishna. When we please Krishna, the soul rejoices. So while I was hearing the lecture, I realized this, like I also like observed and tried to look for happiness in various places. But actually, Maharaj says that if we really want to be happy, then we have to stop looking for happiness. And we need to just perform every activity for the happiness of Krishna. And then I thought that if we are performing every activity for the happiness of Krishna, then what about my happiness? So I got this thought then that it is not that the souls give up their happiness and are never happy again, but it is Krishna who makes sure that every living being is happy. So he does every ultimate thing to make sure that his devotees are happy, and not just happy; they are just like happy in highest transcendental form, which is ever increasing. So the happiness of soul is pleasing Krishna. But when we displease Krishna, the soul remains asleep and comes under the influence of suffering. So when is Krishna pleased? Krishna is pleased when someone takes pain on seeing the pains of others on the spiritual platform. So all those devotees, Haridas Thakur, Srivas Thakur, they were all crying and feeling pain for so many other beings. For those beings who were wasting their time in ignorance without Krishna consciousness. But the devotees were powerless and they really wanted to do something for those beings, but they were powerless. So, and they knew that only if Krishna comes, they can be delivered. Then, next thing is the spiritual ecstasy and simultaneous pain. Does this make sense? So, when I heard this, actually, it did not make sense. Very difficult to make sense. And speaking of sense, I mean material sense. Because I am as like materially conditioned and I cannot see the spiritual world or the spiritual platform. So it is very difficult to make sense. And therefore, I realize that, I must take the shelter of faith. Why? Because my intelligence is limited. And because my intelligence is limited, and when I will take the shelter of faith, in order to see the invisible through the eyes of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So, Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, they are Krishna's manifestation of his merciful words to the world. So, as Lord Chaitanya grew,
Vishal, Prabhu,
he
just 1 second. Sorry. There is a bar on the right, Prabhu, that is blocking a part of your screen that is preventing us from seeing the whole slide. Yeah, that one.
okay. Uh,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
it gone
Okay.
now?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's gone.
okay.
Perfect. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So, as Lord Chaitanya grew, he became Nimai Pandit, the greatest scholar the world has ever seen. Because he not only he was a greatest scholar, he got like everything academically strong, but he also defeated very great scholars as well. For example, he easily defeated Keshav Kashmiri, the Digvijay Pandit, one of the greatest scholars in the world at that time. So when Keshav Kashmiri came to Navadvip, so Nimai had had a debate with him and he easily defeated without actually disrespecting or making him, he was in awe and reverence of Nimai. He didn't feel like his pride is crushed or disrespectful. So in that way, and when Nimai defeated him in that way, like so he quoted actually 100 verses for in the glorification of Mother Ganga, and Lord Chaitanya Nimai he just picked up one verse and told him different, the what went wrong on those verses, and he was so awestruck and wondered that he realized that he can be the supreme personality of Godhead. And actually, Goddess Saraswati revealed it to him that he is the supreme personality of Godhead. So Nimai was highly celebrated. He was celebrated because of his scholarship and how beautiful he was, how powerful he was. So devotees actually prayed that they prayed to Krishna that just if you make Nimai your devotee, then uh, whole world will be showered with the mercy of Nam Sankirtana, because he's so beautiful, he's so scholar, and he's so powerful in every way. And devotees also tried to preach to him, and they said, Nimai, if you become devotee, the whole world will become devotee. Take the name of Krishna. But during that time, Nimai would debate with them on the basis of his academic scholarship and defeat them. And the devotees would try to run away, and he would catch them and again defeat them. All of them, except Srivas Thakur. So Srivas, he met Nimai and told him, why are you wasting this human form of life in the pursuit of mundane education? Do you not know or do you not understand that whatever you will learn through this academic scholarship or this mundane education, this all will be gone, this all will be vanquished with death. So why not seek out which is eternal, which is everlasting, which is the Lord of our hearts, Krishna? Why not seek out that? So Nimai did not debate with Srivas actually. He touched his feet, put the dust on his head, and said, by the blessings of a Vaishnava like you, someday I'll be a devotee. And then we will see the power of prayers. As we discussed that devotees, they were praying to Krishna that Nimai, if he becomes a devotee, then it will be all great. So Nimai went to Gaya and he accepted initiation from one of the prominent disciples of Madhavendra Puri, Shripad Ishvara Puri. And there he served his Guru with love and devotion. He received the order from his Guru that to take this Nam Sankirtan movement and preach it throughout the world. And then he revealed his mission. And then his ecstatic love was manifested. So Nimai returned to Navadvipa and he was crying in love and devotion. So Lord Chaitanya was When he returned to Navdeep, now he was crying in love and devotion. He was like, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? He just came in front of me. Now he just disappeared. Where is Krishna? So all the devotees, when they saw this, they were so happy. They were so blissful. And one of the devotees went to Srivas and he told him, you won't believe, Srivas, what I have seen. Gauranga Nimai has become a devotee. He's constantly chanting Krishna's name now. And when Srivas heard this, he was in bliss. And he said, now may our family increase unlimitedly. So that was the mood of Srivas. And then, now we will discuss the supreme acts of Lord's external energy. And while I was hearing the lecture, I realized like this part, how material energy is so difficult. Like sometimes, we think that, I think that I am, going well, or I am pretty advanced. And after a few moments after that, the Lord's external energy just slaps and puts me down. So now, similarly, we'll discuss the great supreme acts of Lord's external energy. So Lord Chaitanya, he started to perform kirtan with his devotees. But the people in Navadip were proud of their scholarship and position, and they hated Vaishnavas. So at one time, they all gathered together and criticized Srivas Thakur and the association of the devotees. They said like, this Srivas and his brothers, they are the cause of this deviation. In their house they scream out God's name so loudly, all day, all night. What do they think? God is deaf? He cannot hear them? He can hear them like us. He is Paramatma, he is super soul. So if they meditate, he can hear them. Why they are chanting so loudly, shouting? He is in their hearts, he can hear them. And besides this, it is Chaturmasyana. And Lord is sleeping, and they are screaming so loud, they will wake him up. And once he is up, he will destroy the universe. After getting angry, all because of this Srivas. And they said, Srivas, he and his brothers, they are hypocrite. They are vagabond. They do not have any work. So they scream because they are hungry. And we know what do they do behind those closed doors. So many obscene things that they do. And that's why they do not invite us, because we are very morally elevated, and we will never indulge in such activities. That is why they never open the doors for us. And now the Mughal king, the two boats. So the two boats. Now we will see what are these two boats. And those atheistic people, they continued their discussion. So they said, now the Mughal king, he has sent two boats full of soldiers to Navadvip because of this loud chanting. They are going to destroy our families. They are going to plunder our homes, all because of Srivas. And someone said, then we must go to the king and tell to the king that this is all happening because of Srivas. And another person said, we do not have time for that. We should tie them up and throw them at the feet of those soldiers and let them be beaten. Actually, it was a fact that two boats were actually coming to investigate about the loud chanting of the Hindu names, because that was outlawed by the Mughal kings. And when devotees got to know about it, they left everything on Krishna. They were feeling that we are doing Krishna's will. If he wants to protect us, he will protect us. And if he wants to kill us, then what's the harm as long as Krishna is pleased with us? But Srivas was very concerned and worried about the safety of the Vaishnavas, because everything was going on in his house. So he was worried about devotees and their protection. So he went to his deity room and offered prayers and puja to Lord Narsingadev. Meanwhile, Lord Chaitanya, he was walking on the banks of the Ganges, Mother Ganga, and the atheistic people, they saw him and they said, "What is he? He is one of them now. He was such an intelligent, great scholar. Look what Srivas has done to him. Srivas has ruined his consciousness. He has become one of these sentimentalist fanatics who is chanting loudly the holy names." They did not say the holy names though. The boats are coming, and he appears to be so calm and peaceful. We know he's just pretending to be peaceful. And in his heart, he is scared, very scared, scared like anything. And he is just going to secretly escape Navadvipa and let us all get tortured. So the Lord heard them, but he kept walking. And then the Lord happened to see the herd of cows. There were little calves jumping up and down with their tails raised in the air. They were butting each other with their heads. Other cows were licking each other. They were chewing nice grass. They were jumping. They were leaping. And when Nimai saw that, he remembered his identity as Gopal of Vrindavan. And he went into ecstasy and screamed out, "I am he, I am he." And he ran to Shiva's house. He knocked his door loudly. "Shivas, Shivas, it is me." He knocked his door. And Shivas heard this loud noise and his door being kicked. And Lord Chaitanya Nimai said that, "Whom do you worship? That person is now standing before you." So the Lord reveals to Srivas. Srivas opened the doors and saw Lord Chaitanya, revealing his supreme opulence with 4 arms as the Lord of Vaikuntha. The Lord said, "Please worship me, Srivas, offer prayers." And Srivas said, "So many days we could not recognize, and now I see. You have a peacock feather in your hairs, complexion like dark monsoon cloud, eyes like blossoming lotus petals, lips red like the rising sun. You are holding your flute, standing with 3 bends in your body. My Lord, you are the Lord of Vrindavan, the reservoir of all rasas, who has taken residence in Navadvip only to establish within the world the Harinam Sankirtan movement." And Lord Chaitanya, he said, "Yes, I am the Lord you have been praying and longing for." Shiva said, "I am such a fool. I treated you like a normal person. You would offer me at the bank of Ganges to wash my clothes, and I would let you do that. And not only that, you would fold them, you would dry them up, and bring them home for me. I am such a fool. My Lord, it is your desire to be the servants of the servants of the servant of your devotees." And Srivas wept in tear after tear in love. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he revealed, actually he first called, he told to Srivas, "Bring your wife, bring your children, bring your relatives, your servants, your maidservants." And all of them came. And Lord Chaitanya, he manifested his eternal spiritual form to all of them. And they all received his lotus feet on their head. So, but we know those boats were on the way. The boats were coming. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Do not be afraid of these Mughal soldiers who are coming, Shivas. Yes, they are coming on 2 boats, but if I will not prompt, if I will not sanction, then how can they harm you? And if they try to act independently, I will get onto the boat and I will go with them to the king. I'll tell the king to get off the throne and let me be on the throne, because I am the king of all kings. And if he fails to do that, then I'll say that king, bring your priest, bring your molanas, bring your qazis, bring your scholars, and then bring the animals from the forest. Bring the elephants, bring the dogs, bring the birds, and recite your priest, and let the priest recite the scriptures and make the animals cry in ecstasy, and they will fail. Then I'll tell the king, now see, what will I do? I'll go into the forest, grab a wild elephant by his tail, and bring him to the courtyard of the king. Then I'll bring the cats, dogs, snakes, birds, and all the animals. And then I'll begin the Nam Sankirtan. All the animals will start weeping in ecstasy and roll over the ground. Then the king will start weeping and roll over the ground. And then all the qazis, all the priests, they will start weeping, weeping, and rolling over the ground and chanting the holy names, and which we know, which are Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told to Srivas, Srivas, do you believe me? If not, then watch me what I will do. So next, when I was hearing, this thought came that we discussed, because I have my limited intelligence, I cannot see what is invisible, what is at spiritual platform, so I must take the shelter of faith. And then the question is, why have faith? And we will get that answer from this pastime. So the Lord said to Shivas, do you believe me, Shivas? And if not, then watch me what I will do. And then he turned and saw in the corner of the room, and there was Srivas Thakur's 4-year-old niece, whose name was Narayani. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu looked at Narayani and told her, Narayani, chant Krishna's name and cry in ecstasy. Suddenly, from the heart of her hearts, she cried, Krishna, 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 Krishna. And torrents of tears started falling from her eyes. And she fell onto the ground in ecstatic love. When Shiva saw that, he leapt in the air. And he said to Mahaprabhu, my Lord, I have no fear as long as I have you and your holy name. That even when you appear to destroy this cosmic manifestation, to destroy this universe as time personified, I will be blissfully chanting your holy names. And Mahaprabhu was very pleased. And he said to Srivas, because of your faith in my word, even if, that when that day comes when the goddess of fortune, goddess Lakshmi, if she loses all her wealth and had to beg for her subsistence, even on that day, there will never be any shortage of anything in your house. Why? Because of your faith in my word. So next is association of devotees, the greatest blessing. So why have association of devotees, or why it is the greatest blessing? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave his darshan and ecstatic love even to the servants and maidservants of Srivas Thakur. There is no higher position than to be the servants of a Vaishnava. Millionaires, kings, living for millions of yugas, great yogis, they cannot understand Krishna. But the maidservants who are sincerely serving a Vaishnava can understand Krishna. To have the blessing and love of a devotee is the most precious wealth that one can achieve in this world. Why? Because the love of a devotee is the love that Krishna is manifesting through their hearts. And then many pastimes took place, chanting all day, all night. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave them this very famous, that we all know, Trinadapi Sunichina, Taroriva Sahishnuna, Amanina Mandena, Kirtanya Sadahari. Be humble than more humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree, offer respect to others and expect none in return, and then one can chant Krishna's name eternally. So they were chanting not only all day but all night continuously. And so next is my most polluting thing is thinking that I am God. Lord Chaitanya was always in a mood of devotee and very rarely he would reveal his opulences to the devotees. And when someone would say to him that you are God, or he was told that he is God, he would hold his ears and he would say, Vishnu, Vishnu, Vishnu. And then he said, nothing could ever pollute my heart or anyone's heart than thinking they are God. He was, telling this through his own example as a devotee. And in the role of devotee, he would take the dust of devotees' feet on his head, cry out Krishna's name, chant Krishna's name, and led everyone to chant. And then one of the most amazing pastimes manifested in this entire lila or in this entire creation actually. And we all know this like Mahaprakash lila, also known as Sata Prahariya Bhava, the ecstasy of 21 hours. So as we discussed that Lord Chaitanya hardly, rarely, occasionally he would reveal his opulences as God, sometimes to devotees, otherwise he was in full mode of a devotee. But on this day, Lord Chaitanya for 21 hours, he fulfilled every desire of each of his devotee in the mood of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So let's begin this amazing pastime. So like any other day, in the morning, Lord Chaitanya, he went to Shiva's house. So he came there and Mukunda Dutt, Advaita Acharya, Gadadhar Pandit, Haridas Thakur, all were assembled there. And Lord Chaitanya, he induced all of the devotees to begin kirtan and he danced. And suddenly he entered into a mood that devotee has never seen before. He went on to the altar of Shiva's house and sat on the throne of Vishnu. And those who were singing the kirtan, he said to them, sing the Abhishek song. And the devotees knew exactly what to do or what the Lord means. They went to Mother Ganga River Ganges and get thousands and thousands pots of water to bathe the Lord, to perform the Abhishekam. And Nityananda Prabhu, he was the first one to put the water on the Lord's head. And the other devotees like Gadadhar, Pandit, Advaita Acharya, they were all helping. And when I was hearing, I heard that usually for a standard Abhishekam, around 108 pots of Ganges water are required. But here, thousands and thousands of pots were brought and they were bathing and bathing him. And many, many devotees were getting the water and passing to each other, and in a line they were, doing their service. And then Lord Chaitanya saw a very simple maidservant. She was bringing the pots completely in the background. No one even noticed her. And how would they notice her? Because if suppose we are sitting in a Abhishekam ceremony, we would hardly notice someone else. So, and she was so simple and such a very simple maidservant she was that no one noticed her. And she was doing her service very sincerely. How? Being invisible but all available. I heard this very nice statement that being invisible and all available. And when I heard this, I immediately remembered we have on this session, Gaur Kumar Prabhu. So he's doing so many services. He's taking care of 26 Second Avenue. He's helping Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. He's serving at Bhakti Center. He's holding our congregation this life of devotion. And whenever things are like manifested, the services are manifested, he's always at the backstage. And even more subtle to that is Nitya Mataji, who is even, at the back of the backstage. She is serving Gaur Kumar Prabhu, Radha Kripa, and, and no one knows, like she is totally invisible, but all available. And then Gaur Kumar Prabhu is helping at Bhakti Center and doing his services. So these such devotees, who are at the background are like invisible, but all available. And to explain further, it is like it's not that who these devotees are on their position, but the Lord is pleased through the sincerity of their hearts. So that girl, that little simple maid servant, she was not concerned that the Lord has seen her or not, that the Lord is seeing me or not. She was not concerned. She was only concerned being the servant of the servant of the servant, bringing water and helping the other devotees. But the Lord sees the heart. There were like acharyas, there were like paramhamsas, there were many, many exalted devotees. And the Lord looked at that simple maid servant and he asked Shivas, "Who is that?" Shiva said, "She is a maid servant, my Lord." What's her name? Her name is Dukhi. So Dukhi literally means a miserable one, a sad one. It is said that I heard that her family was uh, unfortunate. They lost many child, and they named this girl Dukhi, the sad one, so that if even if Yamraj would look at her, he would see, oh, she is already the Dukhi, she's already miserable one. So he would ignore her. So that is why. And then Mahaprabhu said, this name Dukhi doesn't sit properly within my heart, not for her. From this day, I declare her to be Sukhi, the happy one. And with that name, he gave her ecstatic love of God, the ultimate perfection of life. That love, which the wealthy people, the mystic yogis, the jnani yogis cannot achieve. But this little simple maid servant, this girl, attained the highest perfection of life. Why? Because of her sincere and humble desire to be the servant of the servants of the servant. And then after this, devotees performed other activities like anointing the Lord with sandalwood oil, then decorating him, you know, dressing him up with beautiful garments. And then the Lord asked for bhoga, and thousands of bananas, thousands and thousands of coconuts, sandesh, sweets, barrels of Ganges water, condensed milk, everything was brought. And Lord was very happily, he was just eating. He would just open his two hands and he was just smiling more, 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 more. And then he revealed, after that, he revealed to the devotees that, what was their past lives or the Lord of their heart of hearts, their worshipable lords. And then he started, this amazing pastime starts now with his most intimate devotees. So Srivas Thakur was first one. And the Lord said to him, "Do you remember, Srivas, many years ago, you went to the ashram or school of Devananda Pandit. Ashram is school. So he said, do you remember many years ago you went to the school or ashram of Devananda Pandit? You are such a great devotee of Krishna that when you hear Srimad Bhagavatam, you see Krishna in your heart of hearts, and that bring you love for Krishna and tears to your eyes. While hearing Srimad Bhagavatam at Devananda Pandit's ashram, you went into trance and cried out Krishna's names. And everyone, every student and the teacher, they thought that you are just a disturbance to the class. You are just creating a disturbance in the class. and the students picked you up and harshly threw you outside of the ashram. And when you came to consciousness, you saw yourself in the dust outside the house, and you became very sad. And in that sadness, you went to your home and you started to transcend that sadness. You started reading Bhagavatam. And after that, whenever you read Srimad Bhagavatam, I filled your heart with ecstatic love. And you did not know how was that happening. That was me, Srivas. Do you remember? That was me. And when Srivas heard this, he wept, he just wept in gratitude. And then Lord turned to Gangadas Pandit. So Gangadas Pandit, he was Lord Chaitanya's teacher when he was young. He was Nimai's teacher. He turned to him and said, Gangadas, do you remember many years ago that traumatic night when the Mlecha king tortured and plundered innocent people's homes and the soldiers were personally coming to attack you? You, with your family, you fled from your house and you were running and running and running, and the soldiers were kept coming behind you. You came to the bank of the Ganges, Mother Ganga, and it was late at night. It was late at night that there was no boatman to sail you across. And you knew that if they would catch you, if they caught you, they would have molested your family, they would have raped your children, and you were just crying and crying and crying to Krishna for help to save you, to save yourself. Do you remember Gangadas? From the middle of nowhere, a boat came, and you screamed out, "Oh, boatman, please save me, or else we all will die." You are about to commit suicide, then let those soldiers abuse your family. No one know this, as you did not tell it to anyone, but I know, because I descended from Vaikuntha in the form of that boatman to save you and your family. And when Gangadas Pandit, he heard this, he, he fall unconscious in gratitude. And then the night came, it became dark, and the devotees lit lamp. And then Lord Chaitanya said to the devotees, "Bring Sridhar." And most of the devotees did not know who was this Sridhar. So they asked Mahaprabhu, "Who is this Sridhar?" And Mahaprabhu said, "He is my loving devotee. He lives in the outskirts of Navadvip, and he constantly chant my holy names throughout the night. So just go in that direction and hear the chanting of holy names, and you will reach to him." So a little background about Srivas. He was a very simple man who made his living by selling the products of banana tree. He would sell the stalks of banana tree uh, leaves as plates, banana flowers. Sometimes he would get bananas, and whenever he got them, he would sell them too. And he was very honest. He was super honest. His idea was how to somehow or other, just barely survive and make as little profit as possible. So he would keep the price the least he could possibly, just to get buy another, bananas to buy, for his own subsistence, just very least price, something that a businessman can never think of or can ever do, that least price. Why? Because he was afraid. He would keep that least price because he was afraid. Afraid of what? That he would cheat somebody. That was his consciousness. And not only that, actually, whatever he got, the first half he would utilize to worship Mother Ganges. Why? Because she is the Lord. He knew that she is a person, she is Lord's own energy. So, and he knew that she is purifying, all the people of their sins, and she is doing such a great service, bestowing bhakti. So what a great service to worship her. So he would just put his first half of his whatever he would earn in the service of uh, Mother Ganga. And Nimai and Sridhar, they were inseparable. Nimai as child would go to Sridhar every day, and at least for 2 to 3 hours, he would just negotiate the price of the bananas and banana leaves with Sridhar. Not because they were interested in negotiating or giving the prices, but because they were inseparable. They did not want it to leave each other's association. And Sridhar did not even have a shop. Just on the roadside he would sell. And so when Nimai he went to Sridhar, when he used to go to Sridhar, he would ask, Sridhar, how much price is this? So Sridhar, he was on the roadside selling bananas, and Nimai would come to him and ask him, how much price is this? And Sridhar, as usual, he would quote the least, the cheapest price. And Nimai would say, why are you cheating me? Why are you cheating me? It is so much. It is too much. I'll give you half. And Sridhar said, it is a very fair price. It is the least. And Nimai said, no, I'll give you half. You know what? In fact, I'll take it for nothing. And then Sridhar would say, then how do you expect me to maintain? How do you expect me to survive? You keep coming every day, and either you take it for half and you take it for nothing. And Nimai said, I know what kind of wealth you are hiding and what kind of wealth you have. You have such a great fortune and you are deceiving the whole world. And someday I will reveal it. And Sridhar said, I'm not hiding anything. It is what you see, because seeing is believing. It is whatever you see is whatever I have. And that is I am. I'm not hiding. And Nimai said, okay, so you worship Mother Ganges, you worship Mother Ganga. I am the Lord, the Father of Mother Ganges. So you should, whatever you give to her, you should give me everything. And Sridhar, he held his ears and he said, it is said that when people grow, they become more grave. They, as they grow, they become more grave. But you are becoming more and more restless. Are you not afraid of offending Mother Ganges? And then Nimai said, why? Why do you worship Krishna? What is he doing for you? Look at you. Look at you. You have nothing. You are emaciated. You are so poor that you have so many holes on your clothes than the clothes itself. And so what Sridhar used to do, he would not needle his clothes when they got torn or there were holes. He would just tie both the ends of the clothes. So he was that simple and such humble and sincere devotee, totally away from all the material cravings and material desires. His house also, it had no furniture, and his rooftop would the water would come out of the rooftop when it used to rain. And he only had, in fact, a small iron pot, a small old dented iron pot, and he would use it for everything. And when Nimai was arguing with him that why you worship Krishna, Sridhar said, Nimai, I have everything. Whatever experience I have, or whatever I have seen in my life, I have seen the kings. They have royal palaces, they have royal garments, they have nice, great food to eat. all royalties. And I have seen the birds. They have the house on the tree, on living on a tree in the nest, very small. They wear the clothes, the same clothes, which are their feathers every day, and whatever berries there are on the tree, they eat them. But the time is passing for both of them equally. They both are enjoying, they both are suffering, and the time is passing for both of them. And as for me, I am happy in chanting Krishna's name. So that was Sridhar. And when the devotees went to his house and told him that Lord Chaitanya is calling for you, at that time he came to know that Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when he heard that he's calling for Sridhar, he's calling for him, so he was like, why? Why me? I am nothing. I am nobody. Why is he calling for me? And he fell unconscious as he was so overwhelmed. And that was the consciousness of Sridhar. Such a devotee that he thought of himself that he does not deserve the mercy of Lord. He just wanted to serve Lord, just wanted to pray, and just wanted to love. That was his consciousness. And somehow the devotees, they carried him, they carried Sridhar and brought him to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said to Sridhar, Sridhar, look and behold my opulence. And Sridhar saw Lord's complexion like tamal tree, peacock feather in his hair, beautiful blackish hairs, shining silky hairs, which were falling, which were circling his moon-like lotus face, and his lips were bright like the bimba fruit, and he was smiling, looking at Sridhar. And then Sridhar saw Lord Balram, who was standing next to the Lord in his blue garments, in his blue shining garments, and his complexion was white like a spring cloud. And then Sridhar saw Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Sukadev Goswami, Narad Muni, the goddesses, all showering flowers and all glorifying the Lord. And he fell unconscious. He fell unconscious, and Mahaprabhu touched him and he said, Sridhar, get up and ask me for a boon. All these days and nights you have been calling out my names, and now I have come to reciprocate. And when I heard this, I thought, like, sometimes I feel why I'm chanting, or if I'm chanting, if I'm not chanting attentively. And here is Sridhar, who was chanting all day and all night. And that's how Lord reciprocates. You have been calling out my name, and now I am here to reciprocate. Just ask me for a boon. And if, Lord would have told it to me, then I would have asked for so many things. But Sridhar is like, he said, my Lord, I am nothing but a dog. And Mahaprabhu said, Sridhar, offer me prayers. And he said, what can I say? I am so illiterate. I'm such a fool. What can I say? Mahaprabhu said, just speak. Everything you speak is glorification of me. Just speak. And because he had such a sincere heart, in his heart of hearts, he wanted to glorify the Lord. Goddess Saraswati herself appeared on his tongue. And Srivas, he started glorifying the Lord. All glories to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to the Lord, who is Navadip Chandra, who is Krishna himself in Gokul, who is nourishing the entire world through Nam Sankirtan movement. All glories to Sachi Devi, to Jagannath Mishra, who has such a beautiful son. And this is how he was glorifying, and he started glorifying the Lord. And then he said, The greatest secret of all the scriptures is how you are defeated by the love of your devotee. And then it's already 10, but I'll just take maybe 5 more minutes, 5 to 10 more minutes. So then Sridhar said, he gave the examples of Bhishma, how Bhishma defeated the Lord, how he made the Lord, almost break his vow by defeating Arjuna and making the Lord pick up the chariot wheel and charge towards Bhishma. Because Sridhar revealed it that the greatest secret is how the Lord is defeated by the love of his devotees. And then he gave the example of Yashoda Mai. We all hear the Damodar lila, how she tied up Krishna, who cannot be even, chased or conquered by great mystical yogis. But Mother Yashoda, she tied Krishna through a rope around that. Uh, what we call that? I forgot. She tied in Damodar lila that we hear. And then he gave the example of Satyabhama. So how she made the Lord get Parijata tree when she heard Rukmini, she got a Parijata flower. And then he gave the example of Shridhama. So Shridhama, he would defeat the Lord in wrestling match. And the same Lord actually who defeated Putna, Vritrasurat, Trinavrata, all these great demons he defeated, and he was simply defeated by Sridhama. And how he would then carry Sridhama on his back and, and go all around the village of the Gokul, the Vrindavan, so that everyone would see that Sridhama defeated. And the devotees would shower flowers on Sridhama. Oh, you won, like that. And then Sridhar said, greatest of all truths, my Lord, is how you are conquered by the love of your devotees. When a devotee begs for pure devotional service, that devotee conquers you. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so pleased with Sridhar's prayers. He said to Sridhar, please ask for a benediction. Please ask for a benediction. And now we will see, this is the last slide and we are about to end. So now, before ending, we will see the most amazing thing. The wealthiest man ever lived. We just discussed how poor, how emaciated, with torn clothes and such a small, without any furniture, he was living in that house, so poor. But now we will see how he was the wealthiest man ever lived on this world. So Mahaprabhu told him that Sridhar, he was so pleased with his prayers that he said, Sridhar, please ask for a benediction. And Sridhar said, there is nothing I want, my Lord. I am satisfied. And Lord Chaitanya said, ask for anything. I'll give you anything. Look how poor you are. You are so thin. I'll give you royal comforts. I'll give so many comforts. I'll give you 8 mystical cities. Just ask if you want. And Sridhar said, my Lord, if Lord Chaitanya would have said this to me, I would be so confused at which one to choose. But look what Sridhar said. He said, my Lord, why are you trying to do business with me? This was his consciousness. And then Mahaprabhu said, please ask for something. And Sridhar said, I have not given my life to you because I want something in return. My life is yours forever for your pleasure. Please do not tempt me with all these benedictions. And Mahaprabhu said, just ask, I'll give you the benediction to have opulences like King Indra, the king of heaven. Just ask. And Sridhar said, what will I do with that? It will be, only disturbance It will be only causing disturbance to me. And Mahaprabhu said, I'll give you the mystic powers of the greatest of the yogis. And Sridhar said, do not tempt me with these things. I have no need for mystic powers. I'll give you liberation. Please ask. What do I need liberation for? Ask for something. Please, please ask. Mahaprabhu said. And Sridhar said, my lord, please, my lord, be peaceful. Be peaceful, my lord. I don't want anything. And Mahaprabhu said, I am peaceful, but please ask for something. Please, for my pleasure, ask for something. And then Sridhar asked, why? Because of Mahaprabhu's pleasure. And he said, okay. I not said, okay. He said, if it is for your pleasure, I'll ask you something. And now Sridhar asked this very beautiful thing that at least I could never imagine this thing. And he says, let that little Brahmin boy who would come to steal my bananas, let him be my master birth after birth after birth. Let that little Brahmin boy who would come and argue with me for hours and hours a day over the price of a banana leaf, let him always be my master. And let me have the treasure of the dust of his lotus feet in my heart, birth after birth after birth. I want nothing except this in whatever life, in whatever life I get the birth. And let my mind be always fixed on the beautiful form of that little Nimai coming to steal my bananas from me. I want nothing else but to be the servant of the servant of the servant. And when Sridhar said this to Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu was overwhelmed. And he said to Sridhar, I offer you this benediction for the rest of eternity. Your heart will be filled with pure and alloyed devotional service to me and my devotees. And Lord Chaitanya, he wanted to teach the world through Sridhar that one cannot achieve spiritual perfection by high birth, by having a large amount of followers, great wealth, great opulences, fame. All of these things are meaningless to the Lord. And only pure, unalloyed, with sincere heart, being the servant of the servant of the servant, the sincerity of Sridhar, the humbleness of Sridhar, the consciousness of Sridhar, that pleased Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when all the devotees, when they heard this, they all shouted, Jai, 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 and they chanted the holy names, and which are we know, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you, everyone. So that's all I had to share with you. I'm sorry I took. So it is like 10:08. If I'm just saying 10 less, so 108. So it is very auspicious. So I'll end it. So and thank you. Open for your comments. Whatever you have. Thank you.
Wow, that was out of the world, Vishal Prabhu. I mean, you touched my heart so much and you actually melted my hard heart. And the reason why I'm not falling unconscious is because I'm a hard hearted dog, actually. It's so, I mean, the pastimes that you narrated of Gangadas Pandit, Srivas Thakur, and especially Kolavecha Sridhar, the way you said that pastime, it reminded me so much of Guru Maharaj, actually. Kolavecha Sridhar is his favorite character in Gaur Lila. And the way you narrated it, I felt that you were empowered by Maharaj. And so thank you so much for this amazing class. I mean, I loved all your points about faith and how when Lord Chaitanya even asked, do you believe in me, Srivas? And that was also very sweet. You initially started by talking about the power of prayers, and the power of the blessings of Vaishnavas. That was a wonderful way to start. And you also talked about to have the blessings and the love of a devotee is the greatest wealth, and how in the end the Lord is defeated by the love of his devotees. Wonderfully shown by this wonderful pastime of Kolavecha Sridhar. So thank you. I'll just open it up for anyone else who wants to say anything, any comments. Please feel free to open your hearts and share what you like.
Hare Krishna, Vishal Prabhu. Thank you
Vishal.
so much for sharing tonight. I'd never heard the pastime of Sridhar before, but the way you told it, I felt as if I had known the story as well as any other pastime. It was spectacular. Thank you so much, so much.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna
With
Mate.
Vishal Prabhu and all the symbols devotees. I just want to echo what's already been said. Really fantastic presentation. But I do think you really, really came alive when you started speaking Sridhar's pastime. Like there was just something about it, and you like spoke from your heart, and I could just already see everyone's like smiling, and you just touched our hearts so much with that specific pastime. I really feel like you have a special connection with that lila, and you really brought it to life. So I really appreciate it so much. I actually wanted to ask, I don't know if anyone knows or if anything in scripture, but when Lord Chaitanya gave Sridhar this benediction that he'll lifetime after lifetime, Lord, he will be worshiping the Supreme Lord, have pure devotional service. Do we know, did Sridhar incarnate as any other great devotees? Because we assume, I mean, it's been hundreds of years, that he would again come lifetime after lifetime. So I'm curious if anyone's read if he's carnated as anyone else. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a nice thought. I never thought
Question.
of
That's a
it
good
as well.
question, Athena. I'll find out from other devotees and I'll get back on this. So very good question. Unless Jitendra Prabhu, Suman Prabhu, have you heard anything about Sridhar's future life? Vrinda Mataji? Okay.
Not future life, but he does have a. He is in Krishna Lila also.
Yes.
Gaur Karnodesh Deepika mentions. He's one of the associates of Krishna in Golok Vrindavan, and he has a character in Chaitanya Leela as well. But yeah, his future incarnations I don't know. Yeah.
In Krishna Katha, Prabhu, he's, I think, Sridhar Kulavecha is Sudama Brahman, I heard in some lecture. Yeah.
Correct. That is correct. Anyone else? Any other? Yes, Vinay Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, I'm eager to say something about this class. Thank you so much, Vishal Prabhu, for filling our ears and heart with so much nectar in one shot. And like as Prabhuji mentioned, I could clearly see mood of Maharaj in your class, Prabhu, today's class especially. And all the leelas, like you narrated so nicely, Ganga Das Pandit, and then Srivas Acharya, then Sridhar Kulavecha, of course, and then Srivas Pandit blessing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then how devotees mercy like converted Mahaprabhu into a devotee. Like everything was so full of nectar, Prabhu. Thank you so much. And then you compared qualities of Dukhi, the great devotee, with Gaur Kumar Prabhu. So that was so touching, Prabhu, and it's so true. Like I would like to add one more point in it, that like apart from all the other qualities you mentioned, Dukhi had another quality, that she made everyone else feel very important and except herself. Similarly,
Yeah.
Prabhuji is leader in his work as well as in Krishna Consciousness Society, but still he makes everyone feel very important. So yes, thank you so much, Vishal Prabhu. Hari Bol.
Yeah. Thank you,
Looking
Prabhu.
forward for many more such classes.
Yeah, that was a very nice point. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. And actually, all whatever I spoke was like from Maharaj, Radhanath Swami's Maharaj lectures only. So you are saying like because it was so it is actually his lecture only that I have heard, different Mayapur yatras, and also in Journey Within he mentions this story of Sridhar. So when I read it like first time, so it is like so beautiful that you cannot like go over it once you read, so you just want to read it again and again.
Yes, Prabhu. And it was more than lecture. It was like flowing, like something was flowing very like continuously. So thank you, Prabhu. Yeah.
Now we'll let his roommate Karan Prabhu speak. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Vishal Prabhu. Yeah, I must say
Long
that.
time, Prabhu, long time since I see you.
Yeah, actually, yeah, he's very simple in his living, that I can say that I'm living with him. And I really appreciate today, like he shared all the pastimes from his heart, and also the realizations that he had. So that was really good. And yeah, I mean, it was just naturally flowing from him. It was amazing, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Karan Prabhu.
Something to, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Nityamadaji, please go ahead. Sorry.
It's okay, Prabhuji, you go ahead.
Yeah, just to add to what other devotees said, yeah, this was really amazing. And like we have Gaur Purnima coming this Sunday. So this I would say that this is surely a class which will prepare our consciousness to welcome Mahaprabhu, to be reminded of all the leelas, because we hear many leelas again and again, but then especially for me, I had almost kind of forgotten many of Mahaprabhu's leelas, but this class by you, and it's really amazing how you like you portrayed each and every dialogue that Mahaprabhu was saying and the other devotees were saying. It was really nice, as Vinay Prabhu mentioned, it was coming in a flow, you know and it was really a treat to hear. And yeah, thank you so much. This is the first time I'm hearing your class, so yeah,
Sorry,
it's thank you so much.
That was wonderful, Jitendra
Prabhu.
Prabhu. Thank you. Anyone else? Dhavalji?
Hare
Sorry,
Krishna,
yeah, yes, sir.
Hare Krishna, Vishal Prabhu, and
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Mataji.
Yeah, this was like everybody else, just nailed it. That so much preparation. I see this behind all of this, so much preparation, and you covered a vast area of, pretty much, Nimai as a boy, all the way till Mahaprakash Leela. So it's not easy to cover this, and you kept the attention very, very excited. Like the whole 1 hour was I didn't even realize that it was past. I saw the time only at 9:57 and it was really intriguing for me. And like Jitendra Prabhu said, I usually heard stories except for, of course, Radhanath Swami Maharaj, as a third person. They'll say that Sridhar said this, Mahaprabhu said this, but you actually enacted what Sridhar said and what I am he. And so it was more like a storytelling. And I remember that I should also do that with Radha. Now I should enact more like what you did. So it was really nice. And hats off to your presentation and preparation and delivery. I really, really very, very happy for this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. All your blessings and mercy.
Okay, thank you all very much. Vrinda Mataji, your microphone is on. Yeah, you can speak.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for the amazing class. Just like Mataji mentioned, it was really like someone telling stories to a small kid. Like you were so clear. Like if someone doesn't know a thing about Mahaprabhu, they'll get each and everything. So that was very nice, and it was a very calming class. And yeah, thank you, Haribol.
Thank you, Vrinda.
Such a wonderful session, Prabhuji. It was like we were already there on Navdvip, and it was not even
You are
3D.
already there, Prabhu. I can see in your background.
Yes, so it was not even like 3D. We were already there in like 4D, and we were all seeing the how like you narrated the stories. We were like able to follow through and feel in our heart as well. So thank you so much for this session.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you all very much. I just wanted to share one thing that I really liked. So when Lord Chaitanya met Srivas Thakur for the first time, then he not only showered his mercy on him, but one thing he said was, call all your family members. So he made sure that the blessings also went to the wife and the nieces, the nephews. In fact, Narayani's son is Vrindavan Das Thakur, who actually wrote Chaitanya Bhagavat. So the mercy comes if we just hold on to one devotee. We just have to hold on to one senior, amazing Vaishnava, and that's it. We just have to hold on. And then Krishna showers the mercy because the Krishna wants to shower. He's eager to give that mercy. So he call all your associates, call all your family members. And similarly, if we can all as a family together hold on to senior devotees like Yugal Kishore Prabhu and Chaitanya Charan Prabhu and things like that, then our future success in on this path is guaranteed. Um, wherever they go, they'll take us. And that is the perfection of our lives. We don't want anything big. We don't want liberation. We just want to assist devotees. And then just in doing that, we can actually be in Vaikuntha. We can actually be blissful. Our whole life will be converted and we are actually in Vrindavan doing that. So thank you again, Vishal Prabhu, for this wonderful, wonderful pastime. Hare Krishna. So the next few speakers are, so next Karan Prabhu will be speaking next Wednesday. After that, we have a special speaker, Madan Gopal Prabhu again on April 7th. After that, it's going to be Nitya Mataji. And then it's going to be Vrinda Mataji. And then it's going to be, I'll try to convince Paul and Athena to also speak. And then, yeah, and then we can start again our cycle back. It's so nice to have one of us speaking and it's so nourishing. So thank you. Thank you so much, Vishal Prabhu. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Grace Vishal Prabhu ki jai. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare
Jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Bol Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Haribol.